welcome to Tag TV, and I'm your host, Lovely, at Tag Be Your Style with Lovely. And our guest for today is a TV radio personality of My Radio Toronto. And he's the Vice President of Halo Financial and multi-award winning of singing, music, and composer. Welcome, Gian.
Well, thank you so very much for having me, Lovely. It's a pleasure to be here on Tag TV today.
Good.
You look lovely as always.
Oh, thank you. You too. I like your sunglasses.
The hair and everything.
So, you're more into business and singing career, right?
Actually, the funny thing was I started out as a musician, but then I built this business, with Halo Financial as a backup.
Okay.
I was doing it I was actually in a hiatus for 2 years in my music, but then I was pulled over to produce this CD that I'm making. So I'm back again into making music for a friend.
So what's Halo Financial?
Halo Financial is actually a financial services company, so we deal with a lot of things like insurance, investments, and stuff like that.
So how do you deal with music and business as well?
It's just a matter of, I guess, good time management, because in the mornings, up until the afternoons, I'm at my office at Chesswood, which is where our building is. And at nighttime, that's when I work on the music, I find, because it's relaxing to me, In a way, it's a good diversion from work.
That's good.
Because music is very relaxing for me. It allows me to be myself, which is it's different from, doing finance all the time.
Oh, that's great though. So you're a composer, and can you remember the first time you wrote a song?
Actually, the funny thing was, I think I've been writing songs since I was a kid. Probably the first song that I wrote was, I think I was around 10 years old.
10 years old.
And that was even before I learned how to play any instruments. Because you see, I taught myself how to play. Like, I never took any music lessons. It's just a passion that I developed because back in the day, you know how we have the radios in the mornings, and I love listening to the radio before I went to school. So I guess I learned by imitating the artists on the radio, singing.
So that's the thing that inspired
you
to compose a song, right?
Yeah.
Or write a song. That's good. So are you more a singer or more into writing a song?
I think at first I was more of a singer, Usually you have your favorite musician or an artist that you like to imitate. Then eventually as you grow older, you kind of wanted to create your own niche, right? So you start writing your own songs. And, you get to express yourself more as an individual rather than someone who just, sings other people's songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who's giving you the support in writing this song?
There's actually a lot, First of all,
course,
my parents, they've been very supportive of me. Of course, there's some inspirations as well.
So there's no formula of doing some. So there should be an inspiration, not formula.
I guess sometimes, see, the interesting about music is sometimes it comes to you naturally. There's no formula,
yeah. But some of the singers don't write a song, right? They just sing. But for you, is it more into inspiration, or you do formula, or you have a formula in writing songs?
I guess it depends. Because when you have an inspiration, it comes automatically.
Naturally.
Like it's hard to explain. It's like a flow of water, like a flow of stream, and it's there. It's just ready for picking. But there are times when, you always don't get inspiration, right? And it's hard to write a song, especially, this is what I find, right? Sometimes it's easier to write music when you're in a emotional state, right? Let's say after a breakup, or let's say if you miss someone, it's easier to write a song. But then I find, when you're happy, right? Especially because I'm not just a musician, I'm also a comedian. So when I'm in the good mood, it's so hard to write a song, right? So I guess in those times when it's hard to write a song, I use a formula. It becomes more of like a...
it became a formula because you're inspired of doing something like from your experience.
Yeah,
or something.
Exactly, right?
It depends on your mood,
yeah,
right?
in your mood. And you also get a knack of it as the days go by too, right? Like through time.
Oh, okay. So what's your favorite piece of music and why?
For me, it's hard because there's really no favorite piece because I listen to a lot of music. But definitely, the if there's one that influenced me the most, it was the Beatles for me.
Beatles.
Because I actually learned how to sing, imitating Paul McCartney's parts on the radio.
Okay.
And that's how I found out I had a high voice. Because actually, I was in the third grade. I still remember this. I had a friend who also had shared the same passion.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up forming a band together, and that's how he figured, hey man, your voice sounds good, it sounds like Paul. So that's how it started. It kind of started out as a jamming session and eventually became into a passion. Right? Because I always say you really don't need to go to school to learn music, you just have to develop a passion for it, because once you're passionate about something, it's really easier to learn it.
Okay, so what song you have written is your favorite and why? I guess you've written so much songs, right?
Well, my favorite song is gonna be released on my album, and I'm not gonna say the name, but it starts with D.
It was D. So she's the reason behind your tantalizing eyes, right?
Yeah, because she's the one who. Because to tell you honestly, it's funny.
Can we see your eyes?
Sure.
So how? So how
Sure,
inspired? Like.
Yeah. Well.
So. She's your inspiration in doing this
actually,
music.
it's funny.
So can you name this music or this song?
See, because it's funny, right? Like, I was out of music for almost 2 years because I was building myself a business.
Okay.
And then I met D.
D?
And, priorities changed.
Where did you meet D?
Where did I meet D?
Who's D? Yeah.
Here.
Here?
Yeah.
Where?
Here in Toronto.
Some
priorities
sort of
change.
what? Some sort of beauty pageant? Something like that, right?
Something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, not to mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and then she mentioned to me about her advocacy, which are like the children in Surigao.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of got me into thinking, hey, you know what? I could help you out. So that's how this whole music thing came about.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of took me out of my business and got
So
me
what's
wearing the musician hat again.
What's the title of the song?
Funny thing, because the title of the CD is Songs in the Key of D.
Songs in the key of D.
It's kind of like Alicia Keys, right? Like Alicia Keys has that album called Songs in A Minor.
It's already released, right?
Yeah, it's already released.
Okay.
But my CD is not yet released, but we're halfway through the mixing and mastering phase. Hopefully it would be released sometime last week of March or early April.
Okay, but we would be happy to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Like, can you give a sample of your songs right now?
Well, one of the songs that I've written, I wish I brought my guitar with me, but
That's fine. You can do.
because it's interesting. Before I start my song, let me talk about my CD, because it's actually it started out as 12 songs.
Okay.
But then I got
songs.
into collaboration with some of my friends, and it ended up being 17. And 3 of them are original songs of mine.
Okay.
And,
So any updates of your album released?
Mhm.
Any updates?
So far, as I said, we're in the middle of the mixing and mastering. We're halfway done. And once that's done, it's into the duplication process, and it's going to be out. So it's very soon.
Okay.
Now, one of my inspiration for these songs is like, when I was in the Philippines, because I went there January. And, when you're far away from someone you care about, right? Sometimes things...
I was supposed to
Right?
to ask you that.
Yeah.
What was the weirdest thing happened to you while writing this song?
It's hard to explain it. It's just like it's there,
It's happening, though.
Because I've had instances where I've been longing for this song. Like there's this song by Paul McCartney called Calico Skies. It goes, it was written that I would love you from the
Wow.
moment I opened my eyes. In the morning when I first saw you, gave me life under calico skies. I will hold you for the rest of my life. Well, he plays it in a
Galing.
sort of D inversion, but I couldn't figure it out. But then after I got inspired, one day I just woke up and I knew the chords right away. I was playing it. Like it's weird. It's like It's like I was taken by aliens, and for some reason they implanted me this song. So it's the same process when I was inspired to write this song. You know, like I woke up and all of a sudden all of my feelings are there. You know, it's just a matter of writing them into paper, right? And then finding the right melody to it, and it just came about.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So give us a sample of your favorite song.
One of my favorites is called "Without My Loved One,"
Without My Love.
and this song I
What
actually
is the
wrote this
title?
"Without My Loved One."
Without My Loved
Yeah,
One.
because this was a song that I wrote while I was on vacation in the Philippines.
So that's dedicated to your inspiration.
Well, it's actually dedicated to everyone who's missing
Everyone.
someone.
Okay.
You know,
So can you hear
I'll
your
just
voice?
give an excerpt. It
Sure.
goes, "Oh my love, how can I live the days without you right by my side? My heart longs for you, my mind thinks of you. In every day's eternity, without you here beside me." Right?
Oh, that's really
just
an
like a
inspiration as
verse.
well.
But you'll see it once the album comes out. It's actually I intended my album to be acoustic, so it's raw,
Okay.
and it's more of like a like happy-go-lucky thing, because it's the in thing that's in the Philippines. I was actually inspired too by the music scene in the Philippines, because right now it's like the in thing are like acoustic love songs.
Acoustic
And
love
with us
song.
Filipinos, we're like
Yeah.
romantic in nature,
Romantic.
right? So that's why I decided to.
Are you really a romantic guy when
Me?
you?
I'd like to think
How's
so.
Gian when in love? How's Gian when in love?
Crazy.
Crazy. How crazy?
Well, I think musicians are like that in general, right? Because, as a musician, when you're creating something real, right? Because musicians are no different from storytellers. You're just a medium of your art, and to produce something so real so that the audience could relate, you can't be, artificial. You have to wear your heart on your sleeve.
Wow.
You know what I'm trying to
That's
say,
really
right?
deep.
Because if I try to hide it, then it wouldn't be the same as composed to, when you sing your heart and you let people feel what you feel.
Yeah.
It's the same concept as there's this great late jazz singer named Ella Fitzgerald, and I always listen to her records, but for some reason, she never sings the same song twice. Like she will sing the song, but she doesn't sing it the same way.
In the same way, yeah.
And I always wonder why, right? And then I realized it's because you cannot really replicate the emotion behind the song,
Because I think she has a different kind of emotion.
Yeah, like every day. Because you're not
It
always...
comes from within, right?
For instance, like if you're feeling sad, right? Then the way you will attack a song would be, whatever you're feeling, which is sad.
That's
but
true.
then you're not always sad. One day you'll be happy. So maybe you'll sing the same song, but it won't be the same, So it's the same thing also with, while I was recording this album. I have to be in this state so that I could produce something real. That's why I had to take off the comedian hat.
Okay.
Because remember, I'm also a comedian. Sometimes we joke about it, right? Saturdays is reserved for comedy because that's the only day that I'm turned on.
Yeah.
Like
since you said like you're a comedian and you're a musician, so how do you deal with that?
actually it's tough. Unless, well, it depends on the kind of music, right? Because sometimes you can also write music that's for comedy, and it's fine to be both. But sometimes when you're producing something that's real, let's say you're producing something that's your intention is to convey romance, or feeling of misery, or feeling of happiness, and things like that, like different emotions. You can't be a comedian because
So
right?
if you're a comedian and you're a singer, so how does it feel like when you love a person?
How does it feel?
Yeah,
to
how
love
does
like a
it feel
person?
as a comedian and a singer?
As a
You
comedian?
can differentiate that, right?
Well, it's hard because, as a comedian, you could still love and be sincere, but the problem is the person probably might not believe you because you're always joking all the time.
I know. That's the difference.
Right?
And
Yeah,
then
that's the difference.
When
When you're a
you're sad
musician-
or when you're happy.
But then when you're a musician, especially when, let's say, for instance, just a
Yeah.
good example, if you're missing someone and she's far away, it shows in your music, right? But
Yeah.
the problem with that, though, is you tend to be, you don't want to look like you're too clingy or something.
I know.
Because there must be like a balance there too. So sometimes you have to wear the comedian hat to balance things out, or
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's just a matter of balancing your time, because sometimes you can't wear two hats at the same time. You have to wear one and just put one on the side.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess you sounds like in love or something. Okay,
Well,
Gian.
well, you
So,
could say love is a big inspiration, right? Like love, they say love moves mountains, right? And if you look at
wow, love
some of the
moves
greatest,
mountain.
the greatest arts ever produced, right? Like the greatest works of art, most of them are produced by love, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like romantic love or unrequited love, or that's why it's amazing, right? Like that's why I always say it's always right to write songs when you're happy. You have to be inspired by a feeling or another, whether it's love or
I know. So, speaking of producing, so who produced your shows? Not shows, your music, your composed songs.
Well, this
Who
album
produced?
that we're putting out, it was produced mainly by me, and I was helped out by Mr.
Okay.
Ricky Kitay,
Kitay. Say hi to
DJ
Ricky.
Flux, and Sheng Maligsay of
My Radio.
My Radio Toronto. I'm very grateful. Thank you guys so much for lending me your studio, because that studio has been like my second home. To tell you honestly, because
My Radio Toronto is also a multicultural.
yeah, it's also a multicultural outlet.
Okay.
And they're not just
That's
like a
good to know.
studio, where they have teleradio programs. It's also actually a fully functional music studio. Like you could record there, and Ricky has state of the art equipment.
Okay.
So
that's
it's
good.
amazing, yeah.
So, what's your plan? What's next? Like,
Well, my
are you producing shows or concert?
actually, yeah. I'm thinking
Planning?
of doing a CD party when I release the CD.
Okay. When
Hopefully,
when is the party?
it should be either last week of March or first week of April. And I'd like to invite you and all our
Wow.
audience
Looking
out
forward
there.
to
Yeah.
see that, guys. March. What's the date?
Most likely, it's probably gonna be April 7th.
April 7.
April
Don't
7.
forget that.
Yep.
April 7, Gian's
Yep.
concert.
And it's gonna be at Pansiteria.
Wow,
There's gonna be
it's Christina's.
there's gonna be multiple venues actually.
Okay.
But the first venue that we're gonna visit, it's gonna be like a bar hopping thing.
Oh, okay.
The first venue that we're gonna do it is at Christina's Pansiteria, which is in Lawrence and Bathurst.
Lawrence and Batters. Can you invite our audience
Dear
to
audience,
watch?
I'd like to invite you guys on April 7th for the launching of my album called Songs in the Key of D. And it's going to be at the Pansiteria at the Wilson and Bathurst on April 7th, 2017. Hope to see you guys there. And you know what?
Nice.
The great thing about this album too is I'm dedicating this to, the children in Surigao. Right?
Aww.
So all of the proceeds that we're gonna make from the making of this CD, from the selling of the CD, it's gonna go through for them. Because I've been following the situation there, and they've got a couple of
Yeah.
calamities, right? In January when I was there was like a heavy storm, that ravaged the town. There was also an earthquake, I think, like last month or something. So
You really inspired lots of people,
Yeah.
Gian. So, before we end up or something, what advice you can give to our singer aspirants or composer?
well, just
What advice can
continue
you
your
give
craft.
them?
I guess the best advice that I could give is continue what you're doing and never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up. And always keep the passion, because once you're passionate about something, it's always gonna be there. I mean, it's easier to create, it's easier to write than when you get tired of something and it's no longer there, right? So always try to find ways to inspire yourself.
Oh, okay.
To keep that passion.
Yes. Okay, thank you for coming here, and we're looking forward to your concert
Thank
and
you so
your release album concert, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Lovely.
and congratulations for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Tag Me Your Style with Lovely.
#1 multicultural channel. This is Tag TV.